gentlemen of the press, it's very unusual for me to address the press of the Fourth Estate in the courthouse. And as you know that I'm one of the opposition leaders after Raila Amolo Odinga, and since he's not here, I will also speak on his behalf. And I'm sure that what I will speak today will be acceptable to him. I and Raila have been jailed before. I've been in detention. I've been outside this country for over 30 years in exile as a result of political vintages during that particular time. And I came back home to fight and restore democracy, which we are still fighting, and the cause is still going on. But as a practitioner of law in the United States and also in the United Kingdom, there is what we call reasonable suspicion. Article 1 of the US Constitution talks of freedoms, fundamental freedoms. Article 4 of the US Constitution, 5 and 6, talks of the rights of the accused person. The rights of the accused persons before the accused person becomes accused and after the accused person has been arraigned before the courts. Now, what is happening today is a reminder of what happened during Moi's regime, where a cocktail of very few leaders who all suffered after Moi was gone did what is happening today. Now, let me remind Ruto's government that you are not indispensable. I am speaking as somebody who might take over from you very soon, if not Raila. You are not dispensable. You are not above the law. So is Gachagua. This issue of roadside statements, this issue of making people live in fear, I have made my statement and I've said so. And I should also take courage and encourage my brother Omari. Omari seems to be the only lawyer among the few that has taken this crusade to another level. Omari seems to be the only one who is coming up to fight for rights. My fellow lawyers, come out in large numbers and support crusade of humanity. Come out in large numbers and support the rights, fundamental rights and freedoms. If we don't do them, we are all going to go to where? The courts on the other side have a physical, psychological, and emotional responsibility. The courts have also become conduits of corruption. The cases that have been dropped recently, trust me, if I become the president or when time comes in and I'm sworn in, I'll revive all of them. You cannot drop a case against a thief who has stolen from KRA, let me say who is a suspect, and then you appoint him to be the chairman of KRA. For God's sake, have you ever seen this kind of life before? I'm also appealing to the international community. I'm appealing to the British High Commission. I'm appealing to the American Embassy that prepare papers to ban some people in advance. The people who are now taking us back to where we were, them and their families should be banned from stepping in those two countries. If not, then there is always other alternatives. Whatever Matiangi did when he was working, he did it when he was working. If there is anything against him, it's in plain view. Call him in courts. We shall defend him. But we cannot now vilify him. And of course, I know tomorrow it will be Kibicho. The other day will be Professor Wajakoya. We are ready all to go to court. I've been there and I know. I've been in cells. I've been detained. I've been shot. I have dug graves. I'm used to. If you want, come for me. But please, I'm warning this government, and I will finish right now. I'm warning this government that time has come where you'll have to buy a lot of bullets because you are many. And even if you have to kill all of us, the world is there. Learn from what has happened. Whoever is the minister now who has stepped into Matiangi's shoe, remember, mimi nitakunyoa. Thank you very much.
Senior. Now, members of yesterday was a very sad day in this country where a senior officer in the name of CS, Dr. Matiangi, was accosted by police officers who wanted to raid his house and make an arrest and perhaps plant items in his house in the veiled attempt to make him appear like he executed the duties and calling of his office in a manner that was not befitting. Now, this morning, we have since filed an application for conservatory orders to issue so that the CS can avail himself in whichever institution that the DCI, that the investigators want him to appear on, so that he can share information on what aspect of investigation they want to conduct. Now, we are here to tell the country that the arbitrary way of doing things is a thing of the past. This is something we battled in 2010 after the promulgation of the new constitution, where everybody is under the law and under the guidance that the law gives. So what we are saying is that the arrest, the attempted arrest of the CS was a witch hunt, was in bad faith, and in any event, due process ought to be followed. There were no summons, there were no warrants to conduct a search at his place. Neither was he ever called to any institution to render any information that he knows which came into his possession while executing the duties and calling of his office. So we are here waiting for the court to make directions, because we are also anticipating that the court is going to agree with us that the arbitrary way that the state or the agencies that presented their officers at the CS home in Karen last night is not what this country expects and going forward. We must stamp authority, we must all be guided by the law, and we must all have the protection of the law that we defend. It is not available for anybody to twist any officer, especially an officer who has served in high-ranking positions in government, to that kind of ridicule that they were presenting him onto last night. So, members of the state, for the state, we appreciate your effort, because if it was not for your quick action by coming to that place and breaking the news that the CS was under threat of arrest, imminent threat of arrest, that could have gone, and the officers could have effected their actions where they could have presented a ridicule on the person of CS Matiangi. Otherwise, we're waiting for the court to give directions. As soon as the judge finishes up his call over, we anticipate that he's going to call us, or he's going to give us directions in terms of way forward, so that we can present our client in whichever institution that the investigators want him to appear in. Because we have pockets of information that it is about either Ruaraka land matter, it is either about allocation of land, which land, land we know, as we know it, has reference numbers. Now, when there is an allegation that there is a hiving out of land worth of about maybe 700 acres, and he has given it to some particular community members or people, it is just something that is hot air, as I can say. Now, the other issue that I know they are looking up to for that investigation is issues surrounding the Huduma number. These issues, the CS was not the accounting officer, if in anything. If there was any issue in relation to the Huduma number, they would know who the accounting officer is, as opposed to them going to effect an arrest in the dead of the night. It is not available, and that is why we are saying, let the law take its course. So we shall be informing you in due course what the court has said, so that the country knows that we have a system, and a working system at that. Thank you so much.
Finally, our client, the CS, former CS for Interior, summoned us with a distress call. We managed to assemble a team of over 200 lawyers. We went to his residence at Karen and found out strange-looking people after the CS. The people could not identify themselves in terms of their identification. The people could not identify themselves in terms of any uniform. The people could not identify the document called a search warrant or a warrant of arrest against the CS or breaking in order. These are the conditions the lawyers demanded, and nobody could show that. Today in the morning, we have seen the Inspector General has confirmed that none of his officers were present there. 3 questions. The whole night we have not slept. We have been at the CS's place. Why hasn't any police officer come to confirm what is happening with the CS? If indeed they were not police officers, why hasn't the police come to the scene of the crime If they are not police officers, then who were they? Whose responsibility is it to take care of Matiangi? It is the responsibility of the police. If foreigners from Ethiopia or foreigners from any other country invaded the CS's place, it is the responsibility of the police to rush to the scene of crime as we are talking. Right now, no government officer has gone to confirm what is happening. It is media pressers from the office of the Inspector General. The boss of ESCC has said it is not his guys. So that is completely hot air to stand and not go to know what is happening. A claim that the CS should provide CCTV footage of the people who were there. Whose responsibility is it? It can never be shifted, the burden that prove that the people who are there were police officers. And the police officers, when operating outside the law, they will never be in uniform. They will never come in police-registered vehicles. They will never carry AK-47s associated with the police. They will be undercover police officers. So it is upon, we are pushing the government to come out very clearly to explain three things. One, Professor Magoha dies. Our client gives a speech. Less than 12 hours, his security detail is downgraded. Less than 24 hours, a serious attack in his house. The sequencing of those events, among the prayers that we have filed, is that there seems to be a choreographed attack on the former cabinet CSS, including the former head of state. So we'll be taking instructions today from the other CSS and the PSS, plus the former head of state, with a view of filing anticipatory bail application for all of them, because it is very clear the sequence of events, how they are going to unfold. We are calling upon the judiciary as the final custodian of the rule of law to respond to our application. We have sought conservatory orders with very clear instructions that we are ready to present the CS in any government institution here or even in the ICC if it's required there. The CS is ready to defend himself, to record a statement anywhere the government wants to do. We have full instructions. If it is an embarrassment to go and serve him with summons to appear before the DCI, we have instructions to receive the summons on behalf of the CS, and we shall present the CS wherever, the former CS, wherever is required, so that the due process takes place. The CS, we have instructions to tell the country that CS Matiangi will not run away from this country. He will not go away from this country. He has not committed any known crime. Anybody with evidence, let him present that evidence. Mr. Matiangi will be arrested if there's an offense. He will stand before a competent court of law. He has enough advocates to defend him. He himself can defend himself. So let it not appear that CS Matiangi is in any mood trying to appear that is above the law. He is not above the law. He has no immunity, both civil and criminal. He can be sued. He can be arrested. He can be charged, but within the law. From here, we shall be waiting for the outcome of the court, but the CS will attend the funeral service of his colleague, Professor Magoha. Then on the 11th, He will attend the funeral of his former colleague, the professor who was arrested, and we strongly believe these underhand tactics are simply meant to stop him discharging his mandate as appointed by his former boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, retired, to coordinate the funeral program of Professor Magoha. We have also put in the petition several entities, one of them being the Law Society of Kenya, under Section 4, to defend the rule of law. We have equally brought on board the Kenya National Human Rights Commission for them to check the violation of the fundamental human rights of one CS. We have also brought on board IPOA, who should not only be concerned about Rashid, but also be concerned that the police are misusing their forces, their powers in arresting Matiangi. We are also, I've not seen any civil society group raising the question that as citizens' violation, fundamental human rights are being violated. So we are urging the whole country to be calm. On behalf of the CS, the message he gave me is that I appeal the whole country to be calm. The CS, the former CS is safe, he's alive, he's ready and willing to comply with the relevant arms of government as and when they need him, and may Kenyans be on the lookout, and he has appreciated the contribution of the members of the media who we stayed with the whole night together, keeping vigil to see that nothing mischievous happens. He has also thanked the leader of the opposition, retired Prime Minister Raila Odinga, represented by Professor Wajakoya here, and the legal fraternity for standing to defend the rule of law. Any questions from the Fourth Estate? 2 of the Constitution, no public servant can be held liable when discharging his duties. The CS was in charge of security. He was in charge of coordination. All ministries were gravitating around his office. If it is Ruaraka land issue, let him, whoever has evidence, let the CS be arrested. If it is an allegation that he hived over 1,000 acres of land and gave it to Kisses around Wilson Airport, let him be arrested over that matter. If it's the allegation of the land that he hived land from the Masai Mara National Park and granted it to the former head of state, let him be arrested and be taken to court. If it is any issue, the CS is ready. If he stole a pen and never handed it over during the handover, he is ready to face the law. All that we are saying, the accusers know what he has done. Let them present it, the lawyers will deal with it, and the CS is ready to follow the due process from the magistrate's court to the High Court, to the Court of Appeal, to the Supreme Court, to the East African Court of Justice, to the ICJ, any tribunal recognized under the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. The CS is submitting to that jurisdiction. So he doesn't know. It is mere apprehension by conduct and implication of the state agencies.
Maybe if I may add on that particular point, from my experience in international practice, what my friend has said, I mean, I'm just adding on top of that. The buck falls short of stopping over at the point of handing over. When the minister hands over to the other minister, it is that when the minister hands over, or when an official, government official hands over to another government official, there is that gap. In the US, it takes about 2 months to make sure that everything is clean. If the government of Kenya had any issue with Matiangi at that particular time, there could be notations in the handing over notes that A, B, C, D has not been handed over properly. There should also be notation that raising red flags, red herrings, that if there is some doubt in the handing over process, then that ought to be stopped until further notice. We don't have it in the Constitution here, but I'm teaching the lawyer, I'm teaching the parliamentarians from today to secure their future by getting legislations of handing over notes from one administration to another administration. As soon as you hand over and your appendix, your pen, that's the end of everything.
Thank you very much. Give the copies of the petition that has been filed to the members of the fourth estate. They can have it.